Hi, I'm Syeda Jafri. Welcome to the RUSD Bridge. And today on this episode, we are joined with Avionc Douglas, who is our student board member for the Rialto Unified School District, and Superintendent Dr. Avila. Let's get to it. Thank you for being here, Avionc. And Dr. Avila, thank you so much for being here on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And I want to first start off with our student board member. I know you're a senior this year at Carter High School.
Yes.
How are you feeling? How are the class of 2020 feeling during this crazy pandemic?
It's okay. I mean, it's not going great, but it's not, it's not all bad. Distance learning has been good for us. I feel like, the fact that we get to raise our grades and finish off the year strong is really helpful. Also, it's kind of bummed out. We're kind of bummed out because a lot of our senior activities are canceled.
Absolutely.
So like prom, grad night. So a lot of those things that we won't be able to get to do to finish off our senior year, we're kind of bummed out about that. But we are actually happy about the drive-by graduation that we heard was gonna be happening.
Yes.
So we're kind of excited for that. At least we'll have a graduation.
And you're going to have your cap and gown ready?
Most definitely, yes.
Okay, excellent. Well, I think you joined the entire student body or majority of the student body of 2020 by saying that you are bummed about this. It's something that's nationwide. So I'm going to come right back to you, Avionc. Dr. Avila, thank you for being on the show. As a superintendent of over 26,000 students and a employee population, which is the largest in the city of Rialto, of 3,000 plus, along with several hundred thousands of parents, how do you hold it all together with the Board of Education?
It just reflects the dynamic that we have as a governing team. We have to be able to maintain our composure, our strength. We are hurting just as much as the students, as much as the families, but we can't necessarily show it. And if we do, it has to be shown through action and trying to make things as normal as possible under the circumstances.
Absolutely. Now, when you began distance learning, and we heard this because we know that you were also on network news, and we heard some other superintendents talk about Rialto Unified School District having more of a comprehensive distance learning, thanks to, of course, many of our teachers and our administration that was supportive in working with that. And we've had some of them on the show. But from your perspective, when you're talking to the Board of Education, both of you, that entity is discussing with you the importance of why does it have to be so comprehensive? So my question to you would be, because it's not being graded, does that necessarily mean that we had to have it just as the rigor still had to be there?
Absolutely, because everything has changed after the closure of schools. And with that, we have to adjust in order to address the needs of every individual child as best as we can. It's challenging enough to address those needs when we are in school. Going to a closure, going through distance learning, it may not work for every student, it may not work for every family. And so we have to, again, be able to have that poise in order to lead and make those things as right as possible for those students and those families.
Avionc, we are, of course, talking to you, student board member of the Rialto Unified School District. So you are representing over 26,000 students. How did you get that role? When did you begin your term?
I began in August.
Of this year?
Of this year, August of the school year, 2019-2020 school year. But in the previous school year, at the end of my junior year, is when Principal Dr. Chavez, our former principal for Carter High School, came up to me and called me into our office and just suggested that I should apply for it. And it was kind of funny because I was actually helping other people with their application for the job, but I ended up just, doing
Thinking
it.
It could be you.
Yeah, like why not? Why can't it be me? So
that's a good go.
Right.
Go-getter attitude.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I turned in the application and went through the interview process. First at Carter, and then they selected two of us to move on to the district interview. And it was me and my teammate Angel Hidalgo actually, who was one of the candidates for this position, and it just happened to fall into my hands. So I'm very grateful for it, and it's been good.
What do you do as a student board member with the Board of Education?
I attend every board meeting. I put in any input for my school and all the schools after we've had our DSAC meeting, which is the District Student Advisory Committee meeting.
Wow, he's got the acronyms just down, just like that. You're already in the business.
Right. Right. So I actually very much enjoyed the DSAC meetings because I got to hear from all the schools. Because as a student, in the district, you don't really think about the other schools, but you more so think about just your school, and the fact that there are 2 other high schools and a few other middle schools, and like they have a different environment than I do at my school. It's kind of interesting to see how their environment compared to mine is.
That is great. So you get a global picture of all the schools. You mentioned the 2 other high schools and then our alternative, our continuation school. So
Right.
you have an opportunity to meet different students as well, right?
Right.
Oh, excellent. Okay, I'll be right back with you. Dr. Avila, we talked a little bit about distance learning. Students such as Avionc, why was it so important? Because I do know that the Rialto Unified School District collaboratively with the help of our science leads with STEM, with the help of our nutrition services, with the help of our educational services department, and so many different departments coming together. They're essential employees. Can you tell me a little bit about what they do behind the scenes? Because a lot of people don't have a chance to see them up front. And when you don't see people up front, you automatically assume nothing's going on. Is that the furthest from the truth?
It is furthest from the truth, because while the district schools are physically closed, education is still going on. The district is still in operation. So, for example, fiscal services staff, we have to still make sure that staff members are being paid. So in order to do that, they still have to physically come in. Now, there are some cases where staff is able to work from home, and we appreciate that if they don't physically need to be at work, then we are definitely encouraging them to stay at home. For others like nutrition services, safety and security, we have continued to feed our families, our students. And so in order to do that, we have to be able to report to work physically and be able to distribute those meals at the 9 sites where meals are being distributed. We also have central office staff who don't always have the opportunity to work from home right now, so they physically have to come here to prepare for the electronic devices for the students distributing those devices. Site administration had to come in to prepare the distribution of instructional materials and the electronic devices. So yes, those staff members are essential because we cannot physically do without them in order to continue the education of our students.
That's interesting that you say that, because along with nutrition services, you have safety and security. You have the IT department that's distributing the devices for, so there's so much behind the scenes that's going on, and just because we don't see it in our social media platform doesn't mean that's not happening. It means that your focus and county schools, and I know I've heard this from so many places, your Board of Education and you feel like student-centered. It must be student-centered. We have to see more pictures of our kids. We have to see more growth of students. Why is that so important to show?
Because that's why we're here. This is an education enterprise, and the focus is our students. So I've always approached it with the 80-20 model, so to speak, that everything that we promote has to be 80% students, 20% others. And students have to be the focus of our, they are the focus of our business, and we have to continue to show the world, to show those kids, those families, that that's what matters to us.
Excellent. Speaking of students, Avionc, of course, graduating senior of Carter High School. You're going to be graduating June 2nd, 3rd, I believe, right?
Yes.
And so tell me, do you remember? It feels like it must be such a long time ago, but it was just a couple months ago, right? Do you remember first period on to 6th period? Because every student that we have up here, they wanted to list all their schools and their teachers. So do you remember yours?
I do.
Okay.
So first period, I was actually a TA for the nurse's office. Shout out to Miss Pam. She was great to work with throughout the year, and Miss Janet, the health clerk there. It was just a great environment, and they made it fun. At the same time with being productive. My second period teacher was Mr. McMillan, AP Macroeconomics, and that was also a very fun class.
What was his name?
Mr. McMillan.
Mr. McMillan. Okay.
Right. Yes, he actually, I had him my sophomore year as a world history teacher, and then I had him again senior year as an AP Macroeconomics teacher. So Mr. McMillan has always been one of my, closest teachers that I got to, talk with and have an actual relationship with. Third period was my digital photography class, Miss Ramos. She was really fun to talk to. I actually really liked that class, and just because I've always had a thing for photography where I wanted to, I always wanted to take pictures, and I like taking pictures. I like to look at nature and, the view of and a different perspective of things. So that was a really fun class. Fourth period, I had ERWC, which is English, at Mrs. Aguirre Trudeau.
Okay.
So she also made, English has never been one of my, best subjects, but she made it, fun, and it made it interactive.
Well, she's doing something right, because your English here is impeccable.
Right.
There you go.
And fifth period, Miss Keast. Miss Keast is a new teacher who came this year, and she teaches math. I have honors math 4. And at first, when she first came, everybody thought she was just going to be one of those tough, mean teachers. But she did leave an impression on me. But she's also, although she's tough, she's fair. She's very helpful with everything she does. She's always there for you. She always shows that she actually cares for the students and everything like that. So I do appreciate everything Ms. Keast has done for me this year. And my sixth period was football first semester, because I had football PE.
I was going to ask you, do you do extracurricular? What
Right.
kind of sports and what kind of extracurricular activities have you done on Carter campus?
Right. My freshman and sophomore year, I did baseball. So I did freshman baseball, and then I was going to do JV baseball, but I ended up getting cut from the team. Long story short.
Oh, there's a controversy we don't want to talk about.
So then after that, I did freshman football, but then I skipped sophomore year to do baseball.
Okay.
But after baseball finished, I was like, well, let's get back to football. And I've only played football since my freshman year. I haven't played before, so it was something new to me. But then I ended up having this passion for it that I didn't know was there. Once
you got a couple hits in you?
Right. Once
Okay.
I got a couple hits, it's just it was something that I became really passionate about and put my all into it.
What position did you play for football?
My junior year, I played linebacker, and then my senior year, I dropped down to nose guard.
And who was your coach?
Coach Randall,
Cool
Justin
coach?
Randall, and Coach Fox. Yes, they're
Cool
really
coaches?
cool, all of them.
Yeah?
Coach Salas was my defensive line coach. He came this year too. He was new this year, and he was just a great coach. He taught me a lot this year.
What is your team? Do you have a team, an NFL team?
Raiders.
Oh, the
Yes.
Raiders. Oh, wow, I'm scared of you. You're going to have a good year this year. So we talked about a little bit about your high school life. College in the plans, in the works?
Yes, I have recently committed to Vanguard University in Costa Mesa. I'm going to be majoring in history and political science. And the major there, for that major, they have a 5-year master's program. So I'll be getting my master's in 5 years in history and political science.
Excellent.
So that I can go straight into the working field to teach what I want in ethnic studies.
Ethnic studies.
Yes.
Now, what is your long-term goal? Teaching?
No, I would want to start with teaching, work up to probably principal, then eventually, long-term, become the superintendent.
A superintendent of the Rialto Unified School District.
I would like to come back home, yes.
I love it. That's excellent. Now, it's interesting because you said that and you have that in common. And did you know that Dr. Avila also used to play football? Compton. What position?
Quarterback.
Oh, you're the quarterback. Okay, well, see, you have that in common. Well, I did know, I cheated a little. Edith Ortiz does a lot of my research, and she had mentioned that, you have aspirations of being a superintendent. So wrote down some questions. So I'm going to go through this list of questions. If it's okay with you, if you're comfortable with it.
Most definitely.
Are you? Oh, look, he's already comfortable with it. I'm going to ask you that first, but I want to first ask you 2 questions. What was the best part of being with the Board of Education, sitting with the Board of Education during your senior year as a student board member? And what was the worst?
Okay. The best part probably would be just the amount of knowledge I got of what makes a school district run, which is something that not a lot of, especially students, think about, let alone teachers and staff members. It's just, there's a lot to make the school district actually function, to the point where it's just there could be things where some people don't agree on and some people do, but to make it level out to where everybody's happy is hard, and it's just great to I really appreciated the knowledge that I got from this experience.
Was there any low parts?
Possibly I don't know. I really like the board meetings. A lot of people I remember I was asked oh, aren't you sick of the board meetings? Don't you get tired? I'm like a lot of them are really interesting. Where that strikes my attention.
That's good. That's excellent. You're on the right step. You're going to be my boss one day. I love it. Okay, so going back to these questions. So there's only 5 simple questions because I know time's going to be running out for us. So Dr. Avila, you want to play along?
Sure.
this is our superintendent of the Rialto Unified School District, and this could be the future superintendent of the Rialto Unified School District. And these are not my questions personally, so this is all on Mrs. Edith Ortiz Torres. So, true or false? A superintendent works from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
False.
False.
That is correct. It's correct that it's false.
Yeah, it's correct. So what is your schedule like? Is it a 7:30, is it a 6:30, or does it depend?
It varies, but the basics of it are from 7:30 to late evenings, and it really never really stops. Now, I'm not at the district office, 14 hours, 16 hours every day, but it usually averages 10 to 12 hours per day, but it usually continues into the evening. I'm fielding calls, responding to emails, and just focusing on things that I need to focus either for the next day or the remainder of that week.
Okay, perfect. You both got that right. So, true or false, Mr. Douglas, a superintendent needs to have his doctoral degree first to become a superintendent?
False.
That is correct. While it is preferred, while it is encouraged by many boards, it is not a requirement to be a superintendent.
To have a doctorate degree. Okay. Now, are you going to get one?
I plan on it.
Oh, there you go. Dr. Douglas, future Dr. Douglas. A superintendent actually has 5 bosses.
True.
That's half true, the other half not true. Some districts, now if we're referring to board members, that is true in Rialto.
Okay.
Some districts have 7 board members.
Oh.
So it just varies from district to district depending on whether they have a 5 or a 7 board member team.
Okay. And how is he supposed to know that, right? You know the 5 bosses, right?
I know.
Your district. There you go. Okay. A superintendent, to build his career up, should have experience in principalship and upper school management skills.
True.
They should, but again, it's not necessarily required. I believe the majority of superintendents do have that experience behind their belt, but it's not a requirement per se.
A superintendent almost subhumanly cannot take too much personally.
True.
That is true, and yes, we're still human, so we still have feelings, we have emotions. We cannot block everything out, but we absolutely have to do the best that we can to not let it affect us personally.
Wonderful. See, you got 3 out of 2. You got 3 right out of 5, and the other 2 we're kind of going to give to you because you're young and you're not a principal yet. I mean, you don't know, right? Okay. And so I do want to allow you to be able to, if you were, obviously you gave a lot of shout out to your Carter High School students and staff and had some wonderful memories, and you're very well-rounded, Avionc. Any final words that you have for your class, graduating class of 2020, and the students of the Rialto Unified School District? Maybe some sort of a message from you as our student board member.
Right. Well, what I would say probably is, you can't stop pushing forward. My kind of motto is, you can't choose where you come from, but you can choose where you go from there. So although a lot of us may come from different hardships, there should always be a goal, and there should always be a goal after that goal. So I feel like always keep pushing forward and strive for perfection.
So who was your mentor? Who is your mentor?
My dad.
Your father?
I would say.
His name?
Valentino Douglas.
And who's your mother?
Diana
She's going to get very
Douglas.
upset when she sees this and says the only mentor is your... And what's her name?
Diana Douglas.
Diana Douglas.
Yes.
That's wonderful. And why do you look up to your father?
Because he is going through a lot of hardships now, and he always seems to, be optimistic and also keep pushing forward.
That's wonderfully put. Great job. I want to thank you, Dr. Avila, for being on the show. Thank you, Avionc, for being on the show. And since you're doing such a superb job on the show, why don't you close it out for us? You want to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Until next time, I'm Avionc Douglas on RUSD Bridge.